Hi, and welcome to my mum said I could watch it. 1989 and The Robs. The Robster is about 14. And this is the piece of text that starts before the Monster Squad. This isn't at all disjointed. I know it's more of a cold open, but frankly, I have a one cut rule and I spent the last minute and a half actually doing some really good stuff and not pressing the button. So this is where we are. For those of you, Tom, who don't know what the Monster Squad was about, it's about a group of kids, really, 12 years old, fratty boys, who have their own little clubhouse called the Monster Squad in typical suburban America. From what we do get to see with them, they are the obligatory Stand By Me archetypes. One who's a bit quiet, probably from a bit more of a blue collar home. The leader is coming from an strained, kind of ostensibly middle class family. Father's a cop, who we'll get into a lot. And of course, Horace, the plus size stroke, aka called Fat Kid. There's also Rudy, the kid from the tracks, Blue Thunder, Yellow Brick Road, Springsteenian kind of world. And these kids are rambling along, perving at the girl next door, literally, through binoculars, making jokes about the teacher and reading about monsters. Unfortunately, oh, and of course, I'm throwing casual shade at immigrant newcomers to the neighborhood. Think of the Burbs. However, at the same time, Dracula has indeed risen from the grave and has realized that one of the portents of his evil is in this sort of suburban place. So, what we find ourselves in is a race to midnight, not for the clock tower, but rather for the amulet of good, and whether or not it can be used to create utter negative plane protection, or whether or not it will be used as a crucible to allow chthonic entities such as Dracula to go unchecked. 1989 was a difficult time for this. This is a 15. Arguably, and I suppose maybe on later releases it's been a 12. I very much doubt it. Although a bit of editing around the perving and a few swears may work. The fact is, the kids do get brutal. Um, they get guns. The kids get guns. The kids get to shoot shit. Um, as well as the swearing and the grubbiness of it. Fred Decker does not mess that up. I think this is more close to a Judd Apatow film than a Richard Donner one. As a piece, it depends really on how much you love your universal horror. This is very much universal in every aspect of it, even though, the creature from the Black Lagoon they had to sort of swerve around. Does it hold up as a film in its own right though? I would say yes, absolutely. What I found watching it now was that while the broho hijinks of the kids is just kids being kids, and yes, I can be very retro. Oh, you couldn't do that now, particularly about are you a virgin? Ted doesn't count. The fact is realistic in terms of how the kids play. But what I found really gripping this time is the guys have done. Becker has done his vamp admin. He's realized that how does this werewolf work? He's gone, how does this vampire work? Police procedural of it works really well with the nuclear family of the estranged cop and the wife. Um, the fact is, Daddy Cop is doing everything by the book. The fact is, the werewolf, which I found I totally missed first time round, does not want to be a werewolf. He is cursed. He is desperately suicidal. Um, the Frankenstein's monsters play with the little girl sort of works as well because it adds a pathos. Do we want a world without monsters? Ultimately, though, it does work because it's brisk. It's barely over 80 minutes. At points, it can be hard to follow um, because it's almost wearing its trope on a rope as a heart on its sleeve. But I've got to say that the effects, while sort of sparingly and very cannily used, particularly stuff like the Gill Man, really, really do stand out and really aged very well. The lightning strike showing the skull behind Dracula, um, the vampire to the bat transformation, or even the mid bat transformation, they look really good. And when really has to step up and kill the brides of Dracula, yeah, there is no way this is a 12. What can I say? You can't get around that. This is not trying to soft sell. There is no laser beam. There is no MCUing of evil here. Seeing the cop's best friend die in the explosion, watching it, and I've got to say, Dracula's presence, they got a fantastic actor for him. And when he picks up Phoebe, the 5-year-old child, and starts I can't say it. I can't say it. Can't even give the delivery. And it's a shocking moment to see in a film. Um really, really strong out of the bat. Um Out of the bat. If you like your Universal Studio horrors, this works well. This is definitely the darker side of Goonies. This is not Ghostbusters by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, it's just reveling in its absurdity. There are some points where I go, well, the kids would have been eaten, the kids would have been dead. But as I sort of alluded to while watching it, there's an element of show not tell and provenance. I comfortably rationalized to myself that part of this was about this amulet of good. And while the kids had it, um, it gave them some sort of ability to be more resistant watching the wealth. Yes, Wolfman's got nards is a fantastic phrase in and of itself. But is it that Wolfman's got nards and all the kid has to do is punch it? Or is it that by kicking him in the nards, you're giving the human aspect the chance to try and rebel against the beast? Clutching at straws, well, it is a pulp fiction kind of film. But it's taut, it's fraught. The families are realistic without being expositional. I would say there's probably a touch of fantasy in that while mum and dad are not getting on, being completely chilled and emotionally open about that with their son. Um, if anything, I think that shows you how you lower the bar of storytelling. It's like, you know what, mum and dad are not okay, but we're gonna just not hide anything from you, but we're just being open with you that we are going to counseling. Which for a 1980s middle American film, anything, I would say that is the boldest move to make. Um, Check it out. Mummy will come to your house. It's really, really worth it. 87 minutes. Effects, deaths, ups and downs, high school hijinks. It is a boys' film. Let's be frank here. First and foremost, this is a boys' film. This is not a revamp or trying any sort of, this is Midwest 12-year-old white boys who aren't really sure what they're doing with themselves. Um, it's not trying to be anything other than that, except show you some cool monsters on the way. So, with that in mind, I'd say might not be to everyone's taste, but I would say it's definitely got bite. Thank you. Check it out. Can't find the button now. I couldn't even start this video. Now I can't find the button.